My name is Emily Carter, I'm 29, and I live in Boston, USA. I thought I had the perfect life, an adoring husband, a supportive younger sister, and a home filled with laughter. But when I uncovered a secret so vile, it shattered me. The man I loved was betraying me with the very sister I swore to protect. What would you do if love and bloodline joined hands to betray you? It began with whispers, not words, those tiny fragments of unease that creep into your bones when something is wrong but you can't quite prove it yet. Daniel, my husband, had always been attentive, the kind of man who sent flowers to my office just because, who remembered every anniversary, who made Sunday pancakes with too much chocolate syrup because he said life was too short to count calories. But in the past few months, his gestures had grown mechanical, like he was ticking boxes on a checklist. His smile no longer lingered, his touch felt hurried, and his phone had become his lifeline. He guarded it with a zeal that felt almost comical, taking it into the shower, slipping it under his pillow at night. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. Paranoia, stress from work, maybe even my own insecurities creeping in. But then there was my sister, Lily, sweet, bright-eyed Lily, 5 years younger, still trying to find her footing in the world. She'd been staying with us for a while after a messy breakup, and though she'd always been my best friend as much as my sibling, I couldn't ignore the subtle changes. She avoided my gaze sometimes, her cheeks flushed whenever Daniel entered the room, and her laughter, God, her laughter, sounded different with him, softer, almost intimate. One evening, while clearing the dinner table, I noticed Daniel's phone buzzing on the counter. He was in the shower and Lily had gone upstairs to fetch laundry. My heart thudded as I reached for it, telling myself I just wanted peace of mind. The screen lit up with a message. I missed last night. Can't stop thinking about you. My chest caved in. I opened the thread, and what I found there tore the ground out from under me. Dozens of messages, late-night rendezvous, secrets whispered through emojis and promises. It wasn't just any affair, it was with Lily, my sister. The betrayal struck like a physical blow. My vision blurred as I scrolled, my hands trembling so violently I almost dropped the phone. Every word was a dagger, every I love you a crack in the foundation of my reality. I confronted Daniel that night. He stood frozen, his wet hair dripping onto the floor, his face pale as he realized I knew. At first he denied it, muttering nonsense about misunderstandings, but the evidence screamed louder than his excuses. Lily, too, came downstairs when she heard the shouting. She tried to speak, but her voice broke into sobs. Emily, I'm sorry, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean... I couldn't listen. Rage drowned out everything. My husband, my sister, the two people I trusted most had carved me open and left me bleeding. But beneath the fury, something colder began to take root, resolve. If they thought I would crumble quietly, they were mistaken. I wouldn't just survive this. I would make them regret the day they betrayed me. That night, I packed a small bag and left the house, ignoring their pleas, their tears, their pathetic apologies. As I drove aimlessly through the city streets, neon lights blurring past, one thought pulsed in my mind. Betrayal demands justice, and I would be the one to deliver it. The city never slept, but that night it felt like I was the only one awake, trapped in the glare of neon signs and the endless rhythm of traffic. I sat in my car for hours, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, replaying every laugh, every touch, every look that Daniel and Lily had shared under my roof, right before my eyes, while I had been too blind to see. Anger surged in waves, but it wasn't enough anymore. I needed a plan, something concrete that would take back the power they had stolen from me. Crying in the dark would change nothing. Revenge, on the other hand, would give me life again. By dawn, I checked into a small hotel on the edge of Boston, a place so forgettable no one would think to find me there. I called in sick to work, then silenced my phone, ignoring the dozens of missed calls and frantic messages from both of them. I didn't need their apologies or excuses. What I needed was control. That morning, as I stared at the cracked ceiling of the hotel room, a thought settled over me. They believed I was fragile, that I'd disappear quietly and let them continue in their twisted little affair. But they had underestimated me. I had always been the responsible one, the protector of my sister, the patient wife who kept the house together. They mistook kindness for weakness, and now I would show them what that mistake cost. Step 1 was information. Betrayal leaves fingerprints if you know where to look. I returned to the house while they were at work, using the spare key Daniel didn't know I still had hidden. The silence of my once warm home was suffocating, but I forced myself to move quickly. I searched Daniel's office first, his laptop, his drawers, his files. He had been sloppy. On his computer, I found not only messages to Lily but also photos of them together, receipts from hotel stays, and even a secret bank account where he had been siphoning money without my knowledge. Fury stabbed through me, but I kept my composure. These weren't just betrayals. They were weapons now, and I would use them. In Lily's room, I found a diary, childish in its cover, but the words inside cut deep. Page after page detailed her feelings for Daniel, her guilt for betraying me, her fear of losing him if I ever found out. She wrote of secret promises he had made her, that he would leave me, that they would start a new life together, that she was the woman he truly loved. My hands shook as I read, but the anger burned cleaner now, less like fire and more like ice. They weren't just playing with my heart, they were planning a future without me. Fine. Let them dream. I'd turn those dreams into nightmares. Step 2 was strategy. I scanned copies of the photos, the receipts, the diary pages, and sent them to a private, secure drive only I could access. Then I contacted an old friend from college, Mia, who now worked as a lawyer specializing in divorce and asset protection. I didn't give her details, just hinted that I suspected infidelity and financial betrayal. She agreed to meet discreetly, and I knew she would help me build a case strong enough to crush Daniel legally. But legal battles weren't enough for me. I wanted them to feel the sting of humiliation, the kind that would echo in their lives for years. I began carefully planting seeds, an anonymous email sent to Daniel's boss with just enough evidence to raise eyebrows. A package delivered to one of Lily's closest friends containing copies of her diary entries. Small, subtle cracks that would make them paranoid, suspicious of everyone around them. The beauty of revenge lies in patience, and I was prepared to wait. Yet, even as I plotted, a part of me ached. Lily wasn't just my sister. She was the girl I had shielded from bullies, the one I stayed up all night with during storms, the one I promised I'd always protect. That's what cut the deepest, not Daniel's betrayal, but hers. Still, when family becomes poison, you have two choices. Let it kill you or learn to use it as your own weapon. I chose the latter. Days passed, and I remained in the shadows, watching as Daniel and Lily began to crumble under the weight of secrets they didn't know were slipping from their control. Daniel looked worn, tense at work according to mutual friends. Lily's social media posts grew erratic, vague quotes about guilt and love, late-night ramblings about mistakes. Good. Let them unravel. But the most delicious moment came one evening when I returned secretly to the house and planted the final piece of my puzzle. I left a single printed photo of them together, kissing in a hotel room, tucked inside Daniel's briefcase where I knew he'd find it during a meeting. The chaos that would cause was irresistible. I could imagine him opening it, trying to hide his shock while colleagues looked on, his carefully crafted reputation slipping through his fingers. For Lily, I placed a copy of one of her own diary pages under her pillow, highlighted with the line, "Emily will never forgive me if she finds out." The irony was almost poetic. By the end of that week, they would both know someone was watching, someone who knew everything, someone who wasn't afraid to expose them. And when the fear truly set in, I would reveal myself, not as the broken wife or betrayed sister, but as the executioner of their deceit. Because betrayal may shatter trust, but it also awakens something far more dangerous, a woman with nothing left to lose. The air in Boston carried a sharp chill as summer faded into fall, and I could feel the same frost creeping into my veins. Every move I made was deliberate now, every thought sharpened to a single purpose: revenge. The evidence I had gathered was powerful, but evidence alone wasn't enough. I wanted Daniel and Lily to feel the same suffocation I had felt when the truth first sank into my chest like a knife. They needed to know that their betrayal was no longer a hidden sin. It was a debt waiting to be collected. I started with silence. Nothing drives guilt deeper than uncertainty. For days, I made no move, leaving only the small planted clues in their lives. Daniel's briefcase photo, Lily's diary page, the anonymous whispers, they worked better than I had imagined. Through the eyes of mutual friends and careful observation, I watched the cracks spread. Daniel grew restless at work. One colleague mentioned that he seemed distracted, fumbling during meetings, his once polished charm replaced with nervous glances over his shoulder. Lily, on the other hand, became erratic, posting cryptic social media messages, deleting them minutes later, as though she regretted revealing too much. The walls were closing in on them, but they didn't yet know whose hands were building those walls. My lawyer friend Mia met me late at night in her quiet office. I laid everything out, receipts, photos, the hidden bank account. She didn't flinch, didn't judge, just nodded with the calm assurance of a woman who had seen too many stories like mine. "You've got him cornered," she said. "But you need patience. File too soon and he'll fight. Wait until his world is already falling apart and he won't have the strength to resist." Her words became my mantra. Patience, precision, timing. So I waited, and in the waiting, I prepared my masterpiece. One evening, while Lily was out, I returned to the house. Moving like a ghost, I replaced the framed family photo in the hallway with a carefully printed copy of one of their hotel pictures. The next morning, they would wake to see their betrayal staring back at them from the very walls of my home. I placed Daniel's hidden receipts inside his dresser, neatly folded like confessions waiting to be signed. For Lily, I chose something crueler. I replaced the lock screen of her phone, left charging in her room, with a screenshot of one of her own diary entries. The thought of her unlocking the phone and seeing her own guilt reflected back made me smile. But revenge is never neat. It thrives on chaos, and chaos has a way of biting back. 2 nights later, I returned to the hotel where I had been hiding. As I walked through the dim hallway, I felt eyes on me. Turning sharply, I caught a glimpse of a man slipping away into the stairwell. My chest tightened. Paranoia whispered, had Daniel hired someone? Or was it just my mind unraveling under the weight of my own secrets? Either way, I realized something important. Revenge had consumed me so fully that I no longer knew if I was the hunter or the hunted. Still, I pressed on. The plan reached its breaking point at a dinner party Lily had arranged. She wanted to introduce Daniel as her future. I knew because I intercepted her emails. The audacity of it burned through me, but I saw the opportunity it carried. Quietly, I slipped invitations to a few of Daniel's colleagues, attaching anonymous evidence of his infidelity. I also mailed copies of Lily's diary pages to 2 of her closest friends. That dinner would not end in laughter. It would end in exposure. The night of the party, I stayed hidden nearby, parked in my car just down the street. Through the wide windows, I could see them, Daniel in his crisp suit, Lily glowing in her borrowed confidence. Guests arrived, smiles painted across their faces, wine glasses clinking. For a moment, it looked like a celebration of love. But then, like a storm rolling in, the whispers started. Phones lit up. Papers unfolded. Daniel's colleagues stared, eyes narrowing with judgment. Lily's friends whispered behind their hands, their gazes cutting sharper than any blade. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. I saw Daniel's face pale, saw Lily's trembling hands. The cracks had become fractures, and their perfect little facade crumbled before everyone they sought to impress. I should have felt satisfied. I should have driven away with triumph pounding in my chest. But instead, an ache swelled in me, heavier than any anger I had carried. Watching my sister break, even under the weight of her own choices, was not the victory I had imagined. For a brief moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. The party ended in disaster. Daniel stormed out first, his reputation bleeding out in front of his peers. Lily followed later, mascara streaking down her face, her friends' judgment clinging to her like chains. And me, I sat in the shadows unseen. The architect of their ruin. But revenge is addictive. One taste, and you crave more. I realized then that I wasn't done, not yet. Destroying their image was only the beginning. I wanted them to face each other in the ashes, to see what betrayal truly cost when love and family turn into enemies. That night, I drafted the next phase of my plan. Divorce papers prepared with Mia's help would arrive at Daniel's office at the exact moment his career was weakest. For Lily, I had something more personal. I began writing a letter, not anonymous this time, but signed with my name. In it, I laid bare every ounce of pain she had caused me, every wound she had carved into my heart. But I also told her something she wouldn't expect, that forgiveness was not hers to receive, not now, not ever. It was a poison I would let her drink slowly, every day she lived. As I sealed the letter, I caught my reflection in the hotel mirror. My eyes were harder now, colder. The woman staring back was no longer the naive wife or the devoted sister. She was something else, something forged in betrayal, sharpened by grief, fueled by vengeance. And though a part of me feared what I was becoming, another part embraced it. Because when everything you love is stolen, and every bond is broken, there is only one truth left to hold. My name is Emily. I am 28 years old. And I never imagined that the person I trusted the most, the one I loved more than anyone else, my own sister, Vanessa, she would destroy everything I held dear. Everything I shared with her, my dreams, my fears, my secrets. She is taking it all away. Everything I worked for, every success I earned with blood and sweat, she is destroying it with her own hands. If you want to protect your trust and your emotions, subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story like this. Emily, always hardworking, honest, and the biggest hope of my family. Vanessa, beautiful, charming, and able to captivate everyone around her. We grew up together. Every game, every secret, every joy shared. Our bond was so strong. I never felt the need to share my happiness or pain with anyone else. I thought my sister was my best friend, someone I could always rely on. But life sometimes throws curveballs, twists that break hearts and shatter dreams. It all started the day I showed Vanessa my business. My hard work, my earnings, my dreams, I shared everything with her. I thought, if she helps me, we could reach new heights together. I trusted her completely. Every little secret I had, I told her. But inside Vanessa, jealousy was burning. The day came when I handed over everything to her, and she began to betray me. It all happened so fast, I didn't even realize what was happening. My hard-earned money, my happiness, everything vanished right before my eyes. At first, there were small signs. She never celebrated my successes, she just smiled. I thought maybe it was just envy, but she only got closer. Her smile at my joy, her silence at my pain, now I understand it all. One day, I shared my bank account details with her for a simple task. I thought, if she helps, it will be easier. But days later, when I checked my account, my heart sank. My hard-earned money, gone. I confronted Vanessa. "What have you done?" I asked. She smiled, a smile I had known since childhood. But today, that smile was filled with deceit, envy, and hate. I couldn't believe my eyes. She, my sister, my everything, she knew my biggest weakness and used it against me. I cried, but she stayed silent. Every moment, every glance, she was breaking my heart. I asked why I trusted you. And she just smiled. "You will never be like me, Emily." That's when I realized, every moment with my sister, every secret I shared, it was all a lie. Vanessa told me she would help me. She said, "Growing your business is my goal. I've spoken to an investor who will give you a huge opportunity." I felt a spark of hope. It seemed like my life was brightening again. I shared every joy, every idea, every small and big plan with her. I trusted her completely. I never imagined that she could become the biggest enemy in my life. The day of the meeting with the investor arrived. Vanessa assured me it would be easy and safe. I stepped forward, ready to chase my dreams. But as soon as we entered the office, something felt off. Vanessa's behavior, strange, calm, but hiding something inside. Her interaction with the investor, too friendly, too familiar. A story was unfolding right in front of my eyes, but I didn't yet understand the full picture. A few days later, when I checked my bank account, my world shattered. All my hard-earned money, gone. Every single penny I had worked for, saved over years, vanished. I confronted Vanessa. "What is this?" She smiled, the same smile I knew from childhood. But today, that smile was filled with deceit, envy, and hate. She said, "It's just a small issue, don't worry." I tried to believe her, but my heart was shaking. All my happiness, all my hard work, my life. It was all at risk because of my own sister. I realized she wasn't helping me. She was planning against my dreams and my honor. Vanessa began using everything for her advantage. She spoke to my friends, making them believe I was selfish, that I only cared about my success. All my friends who had once supported me fell into her trap. I realized that every step I took, every decision I made, every word I shared, had become a threat to my own life. Emotional punch and suspense, one too many. I cried, but inside I made a decision. I thought, if I react now, she will win. I stayed silent, observed, and noted every move. I knew one day I would catch her in her own game. And that day was coming, the day I would reclaim my hard work and my honor. Vanessa, once my best friend, my sister, had become my greatest enemy. I saw her trying to destroy my dreams and my life with my own eyes. And I promised myself this betrayal would never be forgiven. I realized Vanessa's betrayal wasn't just about money. My successes, my dreams, my reputation, everything was part of her plan. I decided to hack her phone. Every message, every call, every hidden note, I saw it all. And what I discovered was nothing short of shocking. Vanessa, my sister, my once closest friend, was using every part of my life for her own gain. She was conspiring with my friends, my business contacts, even some members of my own family against me. I documented every step. Every word, every plan, everything became crystal clear. Vanessa had stolen all my secrets. She knew who I met, which deals I was working on, and who I trusted. And she was using it all against me. I felt every moment, every decision in my life was now in Vanessa's hands. Every passion, every joy, every ounce of hard work, all part of a carefully crafted lie. I told myself, this cannot be my own sister doing this. But the truth was harsh and bitter. I looked through the calls, messages, and notes, and one thing became clear. Vanessa had exploited every secret, every weakness, every emotional moment of mine. I thought, how did this happen? Why did I trust her so much? Everything I had worked for was slipping away, but a new fire ignited inside me. I decided I would not stay silent. Vanessa, once my closest friend, had become my greatest enemy. One day, I saw Vanessa meeting with my business partners. I secretly recorded everything. She was using my success secrets, my hard work, and my relationships, all for her benefit. My heart broke seeing this. I had always believed my sister would protect me, stand by me. But today, I realized she was ready to destroy everything. Vanessa said, "Emily, you will never be like me." Those words lit a new fire inside me. I thought, the one betraying me, the one destroying my life. Her time is coming. And I promised myself, this deceit, this envy, this every lie, would never be forgiven. That was the moment I knew. Only patience and strategy could expose Vanessa's true face to everyone. And the next step, I realized this was the beginning of my revenge, and Vanessa would never forget betraying me. Vanessa wasn't just after my hard work and secrets. She was taking control of every part of my life. She started planting doubts in the minds of my friends, my family, even my business partners. Every word, every conversation, she worked against me behind my back. My reputation was at stake, and I felt powerless. I realized everyone I had trusted was now part of her plan. My heart was breaking, but I stayed silent. I knew that if I reacted in anger, Vanessa would win. My revenge had to come through patience and careful planning. Signs of psychological torture, 3 men. Vanessa left her mark on my mind in every meeting, every encounter, every conversation. She knew exactly where to apply pressure, where to break my confidence. Taking away the value of my dreams, sowing doubt in my personal life, it was all part of her game. I felt isolated, surrounded by lies and deceit every single moment. But I also realized this was the moment I could understand Vanessa's psychology. And this cunning insight would guide me on the path to revenge. I stayed quiet, observing every move, noting every detail. Every weakness, every hidden desire, Every plan of Vanessa, I stored it in my mind. I knew that only patience and the right timing would allow me to defeat her. My heart was full of anger, envy, and betrayal. But I thought, if I act now, I will fail, but with patience and planning, my revenge will be complete. I began gathering hidden information from friends and business partners. I recorded every small and large lie. And I set a day for myself, the day I would catch Vanessa in her own game. That was the moment I told myself, Vanessa, you betrayed me, but you have no idea how powerful Emily can be. Vanessa, once my closest friend and sister, had become my greatest enemy. I realized that only one moment remained, and that moment would mark the beginning of my revenge.